Can I ask us to please listen? But of course, like I said, if you're working on your worksheets because you already know the cosine rule, you may proceed. But if it's about these notes, please pay attention. Okay. Is Carolina paying attention at all? And that doesn't look like your notebook. Right. So, the cosine rule, just like sine rule, is used for non-right angle triangle. It could be acute or obtuse angle triangle. Understand? Someone is trying to listen and she's in between both of you. I believe you guys are a distraction to her. Thank you. So we can use cosine rule for these two type of triangle also. Or again to find the angles and sides, just like the sine rule. But cosine rule can be adopted if your sine rule doesn't work. Can somebody remind me one major playful reason or playful scenario when you can use the sine rule, if you remember what I said? When did you use sine rule? What would the triangle look like so you know that, oh, actually I can use sine rule to find this side or maybe this angle? Anyone remember? I'm really tired this afternoon. I will appreciate a two-way communication and not just people looking at me. Not you, sir. Yes. We don't know. So when exactly do you use sine rule? I give you a problem. How do you know sine rule can be used? That's the question. In case you don't understand what I've said. Not you, Hansen. Yes?
When you're either missing an angle or missing a...
That's what I said. I said you're going to use sine rule to find a side or angle. I wouldn't have asked you what I just said. How do you know you have to use sine rule to find this side or this angle? The response is when we are missing a side or this angle. Isn't that what I just said? How can you find something that is not missing? Do you understand? So you have not answered my question. You have only repeated what I said. The other way around. That's not the answer to my question. Yes, sir.
There's a side opposite of an angle. And when you know the side opposite of an angle, you also know you have another side over that.
At least somebody has something to say, apart from those that I said not to say something. I'm sure I mentioned that in the video that I pre-recorded last week. Is it that you didn't watch the video or you didn't care? And please, personally, I can only do my bit. If you're not ready to help yourself, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. Because if you do not know when to use this stuff, how do you know what to apply in an exam? How do you know sine rule can be used? How do you know cosine rule can be used? And those are the things that I mentioned. If you know a side and the angle facing the side is also known, then you know sine rule can be applied. I usually jokingly say a complete family. That was the joke I used in Form 3. I'm sure I mentioned that joke also in that video. Is it that you don't watch it or you just don't care? Or maybe you just ask somebody for the answer and that's it. You complete your worksheet, give it to Mr. Daniel. A week later I ask you, you have no idea. That's a shame. Very disappointing. I'm sure some of you know and I ask you not to speak. I'm speaking to those that I'm actually expecting response from them who did not speak. Because they didn't probably care about knowing it. Again, there's no point wasting my time, trying to tell you when to use this. If you're going to come back next week anyway, I probably wouldn't care about it. So we just state it and I give you an example without telling you why I'm giving it. Maybe that will work for you. Maybe that's what you want. I'm happy to do that. Less stressful for me. Please write. Maybe we just come, write the notes, write the example, go. That's what we want. Very happy to do that. After all, it's in the formula booklet, so why should we listen? Okay, that's fine. No need to listen. Just copy. It's in the formula booklet. I'm just making life maybe more difficult for you. It's okay. Understand. So, the questions here. Okay, I just pick random question. Take these two examples to explain. If you are not familiar with cosine rule, listen. If you're familiar with it, do your thing. The cosine rule is used for angles on sides, to find angles or sides, and of course where sine rule fails. So if you cannot identify where sine rule fails, I'll leave that to you and the previous lesson that I've taught. I'm not going to repeat that. Definitely not on this one. Now, if you are looking for a side, any side you are looking for should be what you state, because the angle facing that side must be given. And if you are looking for an angle, that angle determines which of the rules to state, because it means you must have known the side facing that angle. In this case, I'm looking for this. The angle facing it is known, so it could be anyone because there's no label. So I do advise, I taught the same thing to Form 3. If you have any friends or siblings in Form 3, they might even be able to explain to you better if you don't remember sine rule. Now, the advice is to label. You can label it XYZ or ABC or something like that. I think it's ABC in your formula booklet. So maybe I stick to that. One will expect you to be able to manage with XYZ. But the question may not be always be ABC, it could be PQR. But if you don't understand this pattern, how do you explain, how do you state it in terms of PQ and R? Now, X happens to be, anyway, because this is X, so maybe I just call this XYZ instead. Such that I'm looking for small, lowercase of x. So I state cosine rule that begins with x squared. So I ask, what would the rule look like? X squared is equal to what? Based on this that I've written, can somebody tell me what that would be?
Plus c squared.
What? X squared is equal to c squared. Can you see any c there?
Y squared plus z squared minus
Y squared plus z squared.
minus 2yz
Minus 2yz.
plus cosine
X.
Of course, I could only hear from 3 people. 3 people only. So x is unknown. Substitutes. Yes.
10 squared plus
8
8 squared minus 2
8 to 10.
cosine
120.
So I'm sure calculator can help you know this is 100, this is 64, this is going to be 160, and this is going to be negative 0.5. Let's confirm that. Waiting.
Yes.
So that would be plus 80. I hope we know why it is plus 80. Do we know why it is plus 80?
Because negative and negative is positive.
Okay, so when you add, what do we get?
We get
244.
244.
So x would be the square root of 244. What is that in 3 significant figures?
It is 15.6.
That's how to use cosine rule to find an angle. Now for this question, I want the whole class to be part of this. I want the whole class to be part of this. The whole class. Ryan, if you do not stop writing, I'm going to ask you to leave my class. In triangle ABC, this ratio is known. What does this ratio represent? Ratio of the sides. So what is the first thing we need to do? Speak louder, sir.
Draw the triangle.
Draw the triangle. What kind of triangle is this? Do we know anything about it?
Isosceles.
Isosceles triangle. So it could be these are the equal side, could be any this one, but usually we just label this one. So if these are the equal side, then it makes sense to say this is A and this is B.
Yes.
If this is A and this is B, it means this is B and this is A. Or it could be this is A, B in that order, and C, so that this is small a and this is small b, and this will be small c. Do we know anything about the length of these sides?
Yes.
What do we know?
From the ratio, you know that.
Do we know anything about the length of this side? I never asked, I never said ratio. I can say we know the ratio. Do we know the length of the side is my question.
No.
No.
No. So it's wrong to say 1, 1, row 3?
Wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
Why?
Because it's the P and U. It's the simplest ratio.
It's the simplest ratio, not the exact. So we cannot just write 1, 1, row 3. So what do we write?
1x. It's 1x. X root 3.
I'm sure some of you should remember this from Form 3 and Form 4 in the CSE class. The same question. So this would be maybe K root 3. Who doesn't understand, speak now. And Anika, do you understand why it is K root 3? Can you tell me why? Speak louder, please. That's the, no, the ratio is 1 root 3. I'm asking you, why did I label K root 3? For any value of K, you get that ratio back. Is that what you're saying? I didn't get you right. I want to be sure I got what you're saying. Melody? If someone asks you, this is 1 root 3, this is K root 3, how do you explain to them? Say that again?
1 times root 3 is the same as 3.
1 times. Can we turn that off? I can't hear what anyone is talking about. Just for a few seconds. Yes.
I think like 1 times root 3 is the same as 3.
Yeah, we know that. 1 times root 3. How does that answer my question? I'm not really getting how you link it to my question. My question is, this is the question. I'm coming into the class as someone in maybe Form 2, and this is what I see. And I'm asking you, but why? How do you explain? That's my question. And when I wrote that, I said, do you have any question? Everybody just said, no problem. And now I've caught 2 people. I can't get what I'm expecting. So why is there no problem? If you can't even explain what I claim, what I thought I've explained, and what you assume that you already got. King, how do you explain? Because you also didn't indicate if you have a question or not. So, how do you justify this to anyone? But you also claim to understand a few minutes ago. Ryan, your turn.
Did you change the ratio into terms of K?
Why did we do that? That's the point. So that I know tomorrow that I need to change it to terms of K, or terms of pi, or terms of T. How do I know when to change it? Because if I don't know when to change, there must be something that's led to introducing K. If you cannot justify that, then I'm not going to understand when to do the next thing as someone that is trying to learn. Miss Nakita. Yes, I'm listening. No, I'm waiting. Just wait. Denise, you want to try?
So is that because like since the ratio is in a simplest form,
Mhm.
and like the 3 numbers all have like the common number for them to like simplify.
Can somebody borrow that word she's missing?
Common factor, yeah, common factor for them to like cancel it out to.
Finally, I can go home and sleep with my 2 eyes closed. At least somebody understand what I'm looking for. If this is the simplest ratio, it means the common factor has been cancelled. And that common factor must be introduced if you want to write the actual. It could be 10, 10, 10 root 3. It could be 5, 5, 5 root 3 at first. It could be 50, 50, 50 root 3 at first. That common factor must have been cancelled, then we come up with this simplest form. Thank you, Denise. Not because we just want to put K, not because of the word ratio. Why? You can't just say because of ratio. What does that even mean? If that is the way I come to class and say, because of ratio we write it, would you understand? Nice attempt for some of you that make the attempt. I don't know. You guys frustrate me these days and I don't get it. You're too relaxed. I'm sure some of you have not even touched the sign rule worksheet. Or maybe completed the worksheet since last week Tuesday. Some people are still doing it. I can see some people still doing it since last week Tuesday. And I gave another worksheet, I think on Wednesday or maybe Thursday. I must have given something else. I think the ambiguous one. So if you are still doing the Tuesday worksheet, when do you start the ambiguous case worksheet that I gave out on Thursday or maybe Wednesday? You keep compiling. Hiding under the guise of, oh, we have too much work. Really? Welcome to life. There's always too much things to do. If you don't want to be left behind, you have to catch up. Too much work is not an excuse. This is AA. AA is rigorous. You should know what you are coming for. AA is rigorous mathematics, in case you don't know. So please, you need to snap out of this babyish attitude that you are having these days. Because this is like the second time I'm calling you out in like a week or two. It shouldn't be like that. Sign rule. We don't remember when to use sign rule anymore. It's very disappointing. And I intentionally, that's the reason I'm not just sending work last week. That was the reason I made the video. So it's not just sending you work. At least I give some explanation. Oh, in case you don't remember from IGCSE, this is the reason we do this. This is the reason we do this. You're saying I've just wasted my effort last week creating those two videos. It means it's as good as just living and just sending worksheet. Oh, they know from IGCSE. Give them this worksheet. I'm not around, and that's it. So that extra effort that I've put in is just for nothing. That's what it means. That's what you just told me when I was asking you that question. Now, we find one of the angles. Which angles do we find first? Is there any particular one we must find first to make life easier? Yes, sir.
C.
See, why?
Because that is the one across from different.
So why are we particularly doing the one across?
Because when you use the cosine rule, once k squared is easier than k root 3 squared.
K squared is easier than?
K root 3 squared.
What do you mean easier?
To calculate.
I don't buy the argument. I don't know what you mean, but that argument is not solid enough. Anyone? Anyone else? Which one do we calculate first and why? There are three angles, angle A, B, C, to be found. Which angle do we calculate first and why? Yes?
Angle C,
Why?
because in an isosceles triangle, there are the two angles are the same. So that means that we can find C, and 180 minus C divided by 2, we can get
I get that. So my question, I guess that's what it's trying to say also, which logically makes sense. But for someone that doesn't have an idea before, what you have just done is to tell me I can never do it the other way around. Are you saying if I find angle A, it's impossible to get B and C?
No.
Because that's what you implied. I don't know if you guys get my point. That's the implication of saying, oh, we have to do C. If we do C, then we can remove from 180 and divide by 2, which makes sense, which is actually what we are going to do. But the reason we are going to do it is not because it's the easiest to be done. If you find these two are the same, even if you find angle A, haven't you find angle B automatically?
Yeah.
And if you know A and B, can't you get your C out?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that argument, the reason for it is what is wrong. Finding C, of course, is appropriate. As a matter of fact, I was expecting someone to tell me you can find anyone. You can find anyone first. It's an isosceles triangle. Life is easier once you know one of the angles. So it's not about starting from C. Do you understand that? Okay? And you understand what I mean by your argument? It's going to now mislead me as a beginner. Because as a beginner now, I'm going to think, oh, I need to do that C first because others are equal angle. So anyone that is not equal should be found first. Do you get the point now? The only reason I'm going to do C first It's because I want to call everybody's attention to what it looks like to use cosine rule to find an obtuse angle. That's the only reason I'm doing C first. Because you are going to get to a point where the cosine is going to be negative. So that when you are doing your work and you get cosine of something is negative, you don't get confused and think, oh, maybe I've done something wrong. You have not done anything wrong. It's just the kind of angle you are dealing with. That's the only reason I'm going to find C first. So any angle can be found. So you could do this tomorrow and decide to start from A. Same thing. Nobody can penalize you for that. As long as you do logically. Now, students are fond of, let me see what the formula booklet looks like. Okay, the formula booklet consists of the angle as well. But as far as I'm concerned, it's confusing. So I do not recommend it. But if you are okay with it, of course, you can use it. Again, your formula booklet only mentions angle C for cosine, which means if I'm to do angle A, then, and I do not know the arrangement of this pattern, then the formula booklet has not helped me in any way. You'll see what the formula booklet shows now. Come on. Okay, it's coming up. We can put that back on, sir. I think people might be out right now. Thank you. Now look at what the formula booklet is showing. Starting with just C squared. So which means if you are dealing with triangle PQR, the formula booklet cannot be stated for PQ and R for you. It means you're on your own. And if you have gone to label it as C squared, you have not communicated anything. So maybe this is like the first question now that asks triangle XYZ. And this is what is available in your formula booklet. Then you went ahead to state C squared is equal to, who has given you ABC? So if you do not know how to rewrite it, then it's a problem. Anyway, luckily people are able to state that for me. So that shows at least they can rewrite it in a different letter. Now, I do not recommend students memorizing this. Because of course this is for cos C, so you don't need to memorize. So if it is for A or B, I do not recommend this format. I said it in IGCSE class from 3 or from 4. You start from here and isolate your cos C. Again, it's up to you. If you do this, you are likely to make mistake. You have higher chance of making mistake than this, not because this is not correct. I told you Form 3 the same thing. Some guy decided to do this directly. I can't remember the exact mistake that he made. And I said, but I told you so. You want to prove to me, oh, we've done it in Kumon. I know what cos A looks like directly. Now you see. But if you start from here, you substitute, and we know that this is the only unknown variable, it's easy to take it to the other side, collect the like